Thank you for joining today's demonstration of Qripton Verify by Qripton. Qripton is an AWS partner, and we specialize in both data security and the financial services sector, having decades of experience in both. We've used that experience to build quantum-ready security and built it into Qripton Verify. Qripton Verify is the easiest, most secure, and cost-effective way to send or request documents between any two or multiple people. Let's get into the demonstration. Let me show you the URL we're going to go to. This is where Qripton Verify lives. So I'm just going to go to this URL and start Qripton Verify. Qripton Verify is extremely easy to use. It's meant to be both secure and passwordless. So you don't have to worry about forgetting passwords, trying to get logged into portals, or complicated methods of authentication. You simply get signed up to an account if you're the sender, and then you click this Getting Started button when you get to this URL. Qripton Verify works on mobile, tablets, or desktops. Anything with a modern browser will support Qripton Verify, and all of the encryption work is done on the back end. So let me click this Getting Started button. It's going to start out and it's going to ask me for my email address. So I'm just going to put in my email address here. And then I'm just going to click the Next button. And it's going to send me a two-factor code to my email. This lets me get into the system. So let me switch over to my email for a second. And here's my two-factor authentication code. So I'm going to copy this code, come back to my browser, and paste it in and get started using Qripton Verify. When you come into Qripton Verify, you're immediately greeted with the dashboard of what's been going on in your account. And your account can have multiple users in it. This will summarize everything that all your users in your company are doing. So you can see here, you can start out by sending a document, requesting documents, or going to the activity log. The activities log is where you see documents that other people have sent you, and you're able to download them. Let's start out from the dashboard by requesting documents. So I'm going to request documents of a customer or a client. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to use a test account. I'm just going to make up a name here, Rick Office. And then all I have to do is put in the email for this. I'm going to use a Gmail account simply to prove that we can use really any email account. This will work with anything. The next part here kind of determines how you organize your system. So when you create a new file, you kind of start a new session or set of transactions with Qripton Verify. The key thing about this is all transactions in a file ID work for the same cost. So there's not a charge for every time you do something in this product, and we'll get into the pricing model in a minute. But if you've already started working in Qripton Verify, or you have existing file IDs that you want to attach more documents to, you can simply click here and select existing file ID, and it'll bring up a list of all the file IDs that you have in process so that you can associate it with your project or your file. So I'm going to use this Wednesday morning demo file that I started, and I'm going to request for my customer, RQC office, I'm going to request, what am I requesting here? I'm going to say, please send me your driver's license and pay stub. All right. So this is the message they're going to see when they receive the message. I'm going to send this. It's going to encrypt the request. And what's happening in the background here while it's encrypting is it's actually identity locking this transaction or this request to the people who are involved in it. So that's me as the sender and the other person as the recipient. We're the only two people who can get to this transaction. So, and you can see that it's generated here a unique transaction ID. Every single action you do in Qripton Verify gets a unique transaction ID that allows it to be completely tracked independently. We generate a complete audit log of all the activities that happen in here. For now, and if I wanted to send another request, I could click the new request button. I don't need to do that right now. I'm just going to come back to the dashboard as the company sending the request. You could be a title office, an attorney, financial services, mortgage, bank, anything that needs to send a document securely or request a document from someone and know that you got it back securely. Let me go over to the client email. So now I'm going to pretend I'm the customer who received this secure document request. You can see it here in my Gmail email account. I'm going to open up this email, and you can see this is the email that a customer gets. It's labeled with your company name at the top and your name, the name of the recipient, and then the name of who sent it. And then really it's just as simple as clicking this one button. That's all you can do is click this Send Secure Document button, and it's going to bring you into a new session of Qripton Verify. Now notice that the color here is red. That kind of indicates that we're the customer now sending a document back because someone requested us to transmit them something. And they want to know for a fact that they absolutely got what we sent and nothing could mess with it in between. And that's the brilliance of Qripton Verify. Is everything's encrypted and directly transmitted between parties. So there's no ability for it to be intercepted. So I'm going to sign in as the customer right here. All right, and now it's going to send me a two-factor code as the customer for me to log in. Now the key thing to note about Qripton Verify is that you could forward this request on here to somebody else. You could try to sign in as somebody else. It's not going to work. Remember that this whole system got identity locked when the sender sent us the request. It meant that only these two people or these two email addresses now can respond to this request. And no amount of forwarding or other kinds of solutions are going to work for it. Let me get the authentication code for the customer side here and copy it. I'm going to come back to my browser. On the customer side, it's red, remember. And I'm going to paste this in and click continue. This is going to give me access to the request that the sender sent to me. Now as the customer, again, I don't have a lot of options here, and I don't need a lot of options. I'm basically in a little wizard here with a big blue button that says get started. So what did the sender ask me to do? Click the get started, and here's my document request requirements. Please send me your driver's license and pay stub. This is the message they typed in when they sent the request. So I'm going to go ahead and you browse for files. You could drag and drop onto this, or if you were on your phone, remember this is fully supports mobile and tablet. If you were on your phone, you could take a picture of something and attach it directly from your phone. We're on a desktop browser here, so in this case, I'm going to use the files that I have on my computer. So here's my driver's license. I'm going to attach that file. And then you can see down here that that file is attached. And I'm going to add additional file here, the pay stub examples. Now this could be any kind of file. This happens to be a PNG and a JPEG, but it could be a Word document, it could be an Excel file, it could be a contract, it could be a CAD 3D file, it could be any kind of file. You can transmit anything with this. And then all I got to do now that I've got my files attached is click submit. Now this is going to go pretty quickly, so let me tell you what's going to happen when I click submit. It's going to take these files and it's going to encrypt them, and it's going to send them off. And if I was the sender, I'd immediately, instantly see that these documents are available to me. And we're going to go look at that in just a second. I just want you to know that the second that these things are encrypted and secured, it's going to be available to the sender. So I'm going to click submit. This is going to go up by a little fast, so watch your screen right here. Setting up your secure transfer. It's uploaded securely. It's already encrypted. And it's completing the submission. It's already done. That was really fast. And then you can see here, it's telling the sender or the recipient, hey, we delivered and encrypted your documents and we timestamped it with this. And the only thing left for me to do is click complete. And so now as the person who's fulfilled the request, it's logged me out. There's nothing more for me to do. So I'm just going to close this session here. I'm going to come back to my sender. This is the person who made the request. And now I'm going to go to the activity log. When I click the activity log, it's going to update with anything that's happened since the last time I was logged in or I looked at this. And I'm going to see that under Wednesday morning demo, these are all the files that I have in process, by the way, I'm going to see that the customer that I sent this to on the August 20th at 5:33 p.m. sent them, and I've got a download link here. So all I have to do, like any modern file browser, I'm just going to click here, and it's going to download the files just like any browser would allow you to do. And let me switch over to my file management system here for a moment and show you that these two files got downloaded. Here's my Florida driver's license fake sample, and here's my pay stub right here. So those two files got downloaded. Now I can take those files and I can store them in whatever system I use to manage my files and my projects. No issues there whatsoever. You'll also see here that I'm in the activity log that we have classifications of all the things that are going on, the ones that are just in progress, which is what I'm looking at now, the ones that have been previously marked complete and closed, and once you close something, you can't reopen it, and then ones that are canceled. Now here's the not the funny thing, but the interesting thing about the way we do our pricing with Qripton Verify. It's what we call success-based pricing. You only pay for the files that complete. So some businesses have files that get started and they never come to fruition. It's a project, it's a real estate transaction that never finishes. And you may have a lot of work into it, but you're not going to get paid for it. And we don't feel that it's fair to make you pay for things that you don't get a chance to bill for either. So you only pay for the things you complete. Now I've got some in progress and I've got some that are completed. Let me go back to the in progress ones. But basically, success-based pricing means that everything in this file, I could do 100 transactions in Wednesday morning demo, and it's going to cost me the same one price for it, even if it takes weeks, months, days, hours. It doesn't matter how many things I do back and forth. And now we've done obviously a few things in this file, and I'll go and do a send here in just a moment in this same file. But you can see in these other ones that I've done that we have other transactions gone on, and then when I've sent out a file and somebody's opened it, it documents where I was, exactly where I was and what IP address I was using. So we got a full audit login here to download. And then for title companies and closing attorneys, we have under here, or whatever business you might be in, the way to generate the transaction log or invoice. So for title companies and closing attorneys, this solution is essentially free because we conform with RESPA on this. And so this is a transaction that can be charged to the closing transaction. And so the charge that you charge for this has to be the same as we charge you. That's a pass-through charge. So net, a title company or a real estate agent, or a real estate closing attorney would pay nothing to use our software. They would charge this on the transaction and then basically get reimbursed when that transaction closes. You can see that each one of these files is $79, but that's for every transaction you do inside of this whole system. So you pay once, no matter how many times you use it under this file, and that's what we call success-based pricing. If it cancels, let me go over to the canceled ones. So the canceled ones had a bunch of transactions going on in them. You as the customer are never going to pay for this. They're canceled. They're not charged. So if you have 10 transactions and 5 don't complete, you're only paying for 5 that did complete. Let me go back to my in process here. So that's our success-based pricing model. It's very straightforward. It's very, we think, very realistic in business, and doesn't make you pay for things that you don't get paid for either. So that's why we're such a low-cost provider in this, is you only really pay for what you use, and especially in the case of title companies and real estate closing agents and attorneys, it's net cost zero to them for the most secure and easiest way to transmit files. I'm going to come back to my dashboard here because I want to show you sending a document. We've showed how to request something from someone. I'm going to send a wire request. So this is, because it's so secure, we have no problems sending things like bank routing information through this system. Remember, things that get sent through here are identity locked to the sender and the recipient. The request side, just for your information, is really good for like title companies and real estate attorneys requesting payoff statements in a real estate transaction, so they know that what the person sent them was securely delivered to them and not modified, because there's been a bunch of scams in real estate transactions and people changing bank accounts and intercepting things. Qripton Verify does not allow that to happen. Things are encrypted and, again, identity locked to the two people who started and are on both sides of the transaction. So let me put in my recipient's name again here, Rick Office, and email address. And I'm going to use the same file ID that I've been using here, the Wednesday morning demo. And again, you can use this as many times as we've obviously done it half a dozen times or more. The one thing that's different about sending of document is sometimes you need to send a document to multiple people because the transaction requires multiple parties. We allow you to put in basically the equivalent an email of carbon copies. So you can send this document to multiple people. Each one of them will get their own secure link, their own secure transaction ID, and their own security identity lock to this part of the transaction. So they contribute to the transaction with their documents or the information that they receive out of this, but they have their own unique security codes. Again, the reason we do that is in the audit log, when you send it to multiple people, it's going to track every single person and every action they did. Let me just put down here in notes, wiring instructions for the transaction instructions. All right, and I'm going to submit this. This is going to go really fast because it's just a PDF that's ready for transmission here. It's going to do the encryption as well. And it's done. And then we can see that if we had multiple documents to send, or we wanted to do another transaction to a different party, we can. But notice that it generated another unique transaction ID, again, security locking this transaction to the people who were invited to it. I'm going to come back to the dashboard and come back to the customer account. Now this time, this customer has gotten, instead of requesting documents, they've gotten documents. So they've gotten a secure file. This is the wiring instructions from me to them. And now instead of sending secure documents, they're going to retrieve a secure document. Again, this is going to be proof that there's no way to intercept this document in between. And we'll show this when we view this document. This could have been any kind of file. It happened to be a PDF, so we'll be able to view it on the screen. But if it was a Word document or Excel file with secure information, or a PowerPoint presentation, or some kind of like financial deal for a commercial closing or something like that, no problem including those. Those will just simply get transmitted securely, just like this PDF is going to get transmitted. I picked a PDF because you're going to be able to see it on the screen. Okay, so let me put in the email address of the recipient, remember. Again, I could use any email address here, but it's not going to respond to anybody but this person. And if this person forwarded that email on, it's no good to anybody else. Here comes our two-factor code, again, proving who we are. So let's come back here. Here's our authentication code. It just popped in. Let's copy this. Go back to our browser. Oh, this other tab. Here we go, as the customer. Enter our security code. Continue. This couldn't be easier. Like, people often get caught up in using secure portals, and it's something they use once or twice, maybe for a real estate transaction. They've got to go through a bunch of setup. Both the sender and the recipient have to go through a bunch of setup, and oftentimes have to pay fees, whether the transaction closes or not. We're not like that. We're only using success-based pricing. So now, here's the document that I got sent. If this was a Word file, I'd have a link, or an Excel file, but since it's a PDF, I can actually view it. So I'm going to view this document here on the screen. This is going to be the wiring instructions that my title company sent me for the funds for my real estate transaction. So this is a pretty standard wiring instruction document, but I'm going to scroll down a little bit farther here because there's something unique about we've appended this security of authenticity. So this security of authenticity comes on any file that's been sent, validating that this file has not been modified since it was sent by the sender. So this document, this extra page appears automatically. It's uniquely identified to each transaction. So even though it might say the same things, this little QR code down here is actually a hash or a code that validates the security encryption of this document and validates that it was not changed, so that you can trust this banking information in this case, or whatever you're sending, a contract maybe, then you wanted to validate that the signature hadn't been modified, those kind of things. So let's come back. So this is what the recipient gets. They could download this PDF now, or if it was a Word file or an Excel file or a PowerPoint or any kind of file, a CAD file, they could download it just like we downloaded the files earlier when we did the request. Back here under the activity log, now that we've looked at this file, I want to come show you what the audit log shows you. Come down here, and now this is where I sent a document to Rick Office, and because of the little down angle disclosure arrows here, it means that they viewed it. And so now that they viewed it, I can go in and I can see exactly where they were when they viewed this file. And if they viewed it multiple times from different locations, or anytime multiple times, you'd see multiple lines on here. Let me just look on some of these to see if there's some with multiple lines. It doesn't look like anything has multiple opens in it, but that's how it would work. If there was multiple opens, you'd have multiple lines on these. So let me bring you back to the dashboard here. And I think that pretty much covers everything in Qripton Verify. Again, it's super easy to use. It's extremely secure. I haven't gone into detail about just the level of quantum encryption that's going on here, but it's more. Most companies would use one secure ID for all their transactions. We're actually using multiple secure IDs for one transaction, and they have to be linked together. It's a very secure system on the back end that requires precise meshing of information. Otherwise, you don't get to view the information. And that's what prevents the spoofing or the forwarding, because of the identity lock that's happening in the background. And so thank you very much for attending this demonstration of Qripton Verify. We'd love to answer any questions you have about it. Feel free to contact us, and thanks for attending.